So what makes the difference between an informative, a lamentation speech, or an informative speech? What makes a difference is not the speaker. All the speakers are public speakers. Whether a lamentational speaker, whether a motivational speaker, whether an inspirational speaker, they are all public speakers. What makes the difference is the audience. For us in motivational speaking, we are looking at an audience which is discouraged, an audience which is confused, an audience which needs a solution, which has a problem and needs that problem to be solved. Whereas an argumentative speaker might be speaking to an audience which is just waiting to oppose. It might be knowing that what the speaker is saying is right, but nevertheless, that audience is waiting to oppose. So what is making the difference is not the speaker, it is the audience. So today as we are speaking, we are assuming that our audience needs a solution. Our audience does not want to oppose us. They believe in us. They believe we are good. So they want us to give them a solution. That is what we are going today. I do not expect to see an argumentative speech today. Though, informative speech can come in the motivational speech, where we say authenticity and relevance of information. That is where we encourage to begin with survey questions. That is one way to begin well. Did you know that Uganda today is at 45%, wherever you want to say? Did you know that the world is at this? Yet you can give us statistical data in motivational speech. But since we are not looking for information, do not dwell on statistical data. Okay? Another thing from your speech, because we are chasing against time, in motivational speaking, we might even ignore recognizing protocol. In formal speeches, in informative speeches, in argumentative speeches, it is very okay to honor protocol. That is why I do not want you to get what I'm teaching you today and apply it in another form of speech one day. So if it is a motivational speech, I can begin without recognizing anyone. Besides, you can actually recognize someone that is going to bias your audience. For example, if it was an NRM meeting, and somehow you begin by recognizing Chagulanyi, what do you think happens all of a sudden? What happens? You are recognizing protocol, but Chagulanyi would rather keep hiding without showing himself. But now you've recognized him, and the whole audience is like, how did he come in here? So sometimes recognizing protocol might bias your audience. Okay? So I want you to ignore protocol today. Unless you are so persuaded, you're tactful enough to make your observation of protocol a captivating opening. If it is not going to be one of them, please do not. You might ignore someone important. For example, she recognized everyone and forgot Wiza, a great lady in this country. And she's offended.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The theme of today states that the way of I don't care leads to a city called Had I Known. Ladies and gentlemen, the Had I Known city is not for all of us. It's for the indisciplined. It's for those who do the right thing at the right time, but in the wrong place and with the wrong people. Why do I say this, ladies and gentlemen? Somebody who is focused, stands firm on his words, cannot land into this city. For statements like HIV kills, AIDS is a killer, please abstain, use a condom, have been pinned and posted everywhere. In schools, hospitals, social media, television, radios, and so many others. But people pretend not to listen, and in the end do the opposite. However much, there are those who are just unlucky, like the ones raped, defiled, and most especially the ones born with the virus, ladies and
gentlemen. The person standing before you is Chisitu Kayla, and I am the chairperson of the Students' Council, Mackay College NATEETE. I thank the organizers for this tremendous work of coordinating all factors to ensure that this day is a success, and for coming up with a befitting theme, the way of I don't care leads to a city of had I known in relation to the fight against HIV. Please clap for them. Thank you. Imagine standing at the edge of a city filled with regret, a trail of devastation, lost potential, and silent echoes of had I known. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a path that many young people are unknowingly treading, the I don't care attitude. And it has led to a downfall of many individuals who have ignored the warnings, the education, and the advice. They pretend that HIV does not exist, or it's someone else's problem. But the consequences of this attitude are devastating. I'm sure none of us wants to fall there. We've lost beloved ones, seen torn families, communities ravaged, and dreams shattered, thus falling into the had I known city. And this is a city of moments where our regrets set in, and the how I wish I had done things differently is packed off. I wish I knew. I wish I listened. I wish I cared. Confessions are like confessions. But all this runs in vain because it's already too late. The guilt of not caring starts to weigh them down, and they are left with a feeling of suffocating hopelessness. But ladies and gentlemen, here is the good news. We do not have to end up in the city of regret. We can choose to listen to the warnings, education, and the advice. Ladies and gentlemen, together we can build a generation strong, empowered, disciplined to combat HIV and its outcomes. I'm sure none of us will fall in the city of regret. I remain Tisitu Kayla. Thank you for listening.
Attendance present. Today, I stand HIV positive. Always so sad and tears of regret running in my head after attaining the stage. What happened? At first, I cherished and listened to my parents, but lost it when a team of girls at my auntie's shop always mocked me for being single and for being a virgin. But my parents told me that virginity meant integrity and esteem to the girls. But these girls convinced me that being a virgin meant that someone is a fella, meaning primitive and backward. They told me how outdated it was for a woman to be naive about romance and sex itself. That's how I was connected to Ruby, a next-door neighbor's son. He was so handsome like the word itself, with a so-called 6 packs and American height. But like the saying goes, all that glitters is not. Ruby was HIV positive. I forgot the words of my parents in a blink of an eye. Ruby took me in isolation in his parents' house, and I lost my virginity and was okay with it until a quarrel broke out between Ruby and a random guy I hardly knew around the town. He insulted him off and told him to stop spreading HIV to the young girls around town. My ears received this with shock and defeat. Immediately, I got a runny stomach and headache. Several weeks later, I felt sick and felt no more of myself. Because of the trauma, when my auntie came back from the trip, she took me to the hospital. And on checking for malaria, I didn't have. Then the doctor said to my auntie, "The way your girl looks, I think she needs to do a general test." And on checking for HIV, I was announced positive. I hear young people saying, most especially the young girls, that they fear pregnancy but not getting AIDS. But this is only when you have not attained the virus. The life of taking medicine every day is not the life I wish for any Ugandan child. Our chief guest, the Ruby I am talking about, ran away from the village. Shortly, he got the news that I had attained the scourge, and I have heard of recent that he passed on. But he left me with two things not to forget about him. One, HIV, and two, a boy child. I am sorry I had not told you earlier, but when I tested for HIV, I also tested for pregnancy, and both results were positive. If we are to talk about the people in the city of Had I Known is not the city I wish for anyone. The city called Had I Known is not the city I wish you to join me in. Listen to every positive advice. Take it and you will not regret it. Again, Rod Gloria Paleza is my name. For God and my country, stay safe, abstain. Thank you.
And this is a stage when our sexuality appears to be pleasing, attracting, and convincing. And in such situations, many people blunder and make decisions without thinking of the possible consequences. Many people have been warned about the peer group influence, unprotected sex, early sex, and abstinence, but they've chosen to leave the words of advice from where they've been told from. This is to the extent that girls fear pregnancy, not AIDS. Boys want so much to test ladies above their age, not minding about the risk of contracting a virus that can have devastating consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just about the risk, but it's also about the opportunities on when to take control of our sexual health. The only way to predict the future is to create it now. When we make informed decisions, we can live a healthy life free from the burden of HIV. We can avoid the Had I Known city and build a city I'm glad I was told and listened. Remember, the good you do remains with you, and the bad you do comes back to you. Yes, when you do good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. Thank you. You do good and continue doing good. You are lucky you have such a platform where you are sensitized, advised, and educated. Now, the ball is in your hands. Either take the advice and listen, or don't. But if you are to avoid the membership of Had I Known city, let's listen and take the advice. I can see you're all getting scared. Don't be worried. Just do the needful. You won't fall into HIV trap. Namagala Irene, for God and my country. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I was growing up, my mother used to tell me that, Kide Jessica, my daughter, the world we grew up in is not the world you are in today. Things have changed. The patient, the humble, and the disciplined are the ones to enjoy and benefit this life. But those doing otherwise are not groping up to 2 years of their lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, I so much want to go to heaven, but I also want to live the fullest of my life and of the years God prepared for me. Dear youth present, imagine a young girl full of dreams, bright with ambitions. One day, she is warned about making certain choices, but she shrugs and says, I don't care. Months later, she is seen alone in isolation, whispering regretfully, had I known.
It's my honor to stand before you today sharing about HIV/AIDS on the theme, The Way of I Don't Care Leads to a City Called Had I Known. I am Narab Gatahi. Many youth have rejected the words of advice, education, and counseling, choosing their own path, leading them to a city where buildings are abandoned dreams, streets paved with lost chances, and the only inhabitants are the ghosts of what could have been. That's Had I Known. A place where you wake up one day looking on the life with missed opportunities. And the only thing you could say is, if only I had cared a little more. But we can change the course as the proverb says, better late. Yes, better late than never. Thank you. You have the power to choose a different path, a path where passion fuels your action, where determination guides your steps, and where I care is your better principle. Today, I urge you to stand up, shake off your apathy, and declare I care about your dream, potential, and the life you'd want to create.
On a time when my niece chose not to listen to her parents, but decided to go by her own thoughts, but now regretting. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Nishume Anikesha, and I have seen, I have heard the consequences of this killer disease known as HIV. When my niece was in her senior 4, as I said earlier, she did not pay attention to the warnings that were given to her, that abstaining from sex until marriage is good for a school-going child. Not to engage in any romantic relationship is not good. She made a decision that until now, she is still regretting. My niece became HIV positive. How could a senior 4 child be HIV positive in a time that she should be preparing for her final examinations? Ladies and gentlemen, I was hurt. She did not give a damn ear. She did not care. But now, she is traveling on the path. Had I known, I would have followed the advice.
Very much for the time, and thank you for your great participation. So, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, back to Wiza.
Be going up.
Thank you, my co-host. We're still going on. As you know, besides the speaking inside there, we also had a theme, we had a goal, and we had something. We're talking about HIV/AIDS, and these young ones came out and, of course, told their fellow young ones about HIV/AIDS, how they can prevent, and everything. So, Mister, I'm going to talk to you first before you leave the floor. How do you think a youth can really, or a teenager can really prevent HIV/AIDS?
Being patient, because patience pays by pains, but the repercussions of patience are always good. They are always positive. So for the youth that are out there, please try to be patient. See girls like new normal sisters, because having a big ass is the AIDS start from. Yes.
Having a big what? I will not repeat that. Come forward. Come. Random. Want a random idea. So what do you talk about? What do you know about, look in the camera, what do you know about HIV/AIDS?
HIV/AIDS is a killer disease that causes a lifetime pain. So we have to use the advice of teachers. We should not ignore the advice of teachers, doctors, and our parents in order to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS.
Okay, you come forward. Who hasn't? Oh, little one, you come. How are you?
I'm fine. My name is Ebenezer Nabosa.
Which class?
Form 3E. No, but I was there as a cheerleader for
What did you enjoy? What did you like about the speeches?
I liked the confidence and the vigor these people had.
What's the meaning of vigor?
The energy that these people placed in while they were presenting their speeches.
Okay.